Marcus sat at the worn piano in the hospital waiting room, his calloused fingers trembling above the keys. His daughter Emma lay in surgery just floors above, and he had nothing left. No savings, no insurance that would cover everything, and a medical bill that kept growing like a shadow he couldn't outrun. The CEO of the hospital, Victoria Chen, had just walked past and stopped. She'd heard him quietly mention Chopin to a nurse, something about Emma's favorite composer. Victoria turned back with eyes that seemed to pierce right through him and said words that made no sense. If you can play Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major perfectly, right now, I'll cover every cent of your daughter's medical expenses. And if you can make me feel something I haven't felt in 20 years, I'll marry you. Marcus looked up at this powerful woman in her designer suit, certain he'd misheard, but her face was stone serious. Before we continue with this incredible story, I want to invite you to join our Kindness World family. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that will restore your faith in humanity. Drop a like if you believe in the power of kindness, and please share in the comments a time when someone's compassion changed your life. Your stories inspire us all. Now, let's get back to Marcus and discover what happened next. Marcus hadn't touched a piano in 15 years. Not since his wife Sarah died, leaving him alone with 2-year-old Emma. Sarah had been the pianist, the one who'd filled their tiny apartment with Chopin and Debussy while Marcus worked double shifts at the construction site. She'd tried to teach him once, laughing at his clumsy fingers, guiding his hands with hers. After she passed, he'd sold their piano to pay for the funeral. The music died with her, or so he thought. But Emma had inherited her mother's gift. Even as a little girl, she'd hum melodies she couldn't possibly have known. By 8, she was playing by ear on the school's battered upright. By 12, she'd won a regional competition. Marcus worked 3 jobs to afford her lessons with a retired concert pianist who saw Emma's extraordinary talent. The teacher never charged full price, bless her heart, but it was still a stretch. Every sacrifice was worth it to see Emma's face light up when she played. Then came the diagnosis 6 months ago. A rare heart condition that needed surgery they couldn't afford. Marcus had spent every night since then lying awake, calculating impossible math, watching his little girl grow weaker while he felt more powerless than he'd ever felt in his life. Now this stranger, this CEO who probably had more money than Marcus would see in 10 lifetimes, was offering him everything. But the price was the one thing he didn't think he had anymore. I can't, Marcus whispered, staring at the piano keys like they were written in a language he'd forgotten. Victoria's expression didn't change. Then your daughter's surgery will proceed as planned, and you'll receive the bill as expected. The choice is yours. She started to walk away. Something broke open inside Marcus. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was the memory of Sarah's hands on his, patient and loving. Maybe it was thinking of Emma waking up from surgery to find her father had given up. He didn't know. But his hands moved to the keys. The first notes came out shaky, wrong. He stopped. Breathed. Closed his eyes. And suddenly he wasn't in a sterile hospital waiting room anymore. He was in their old apartment, Sarah beside him, her voice soft in his ear. Feel it, Marcus. Don't think. Just feel. His fingers found their way. The melody emerged, tentative at first, then stronger. Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, the piece Sarah had played the night Emma was born. The piece she'd tried so hard to teach him. He made mistakes. His technique was rough, self-taught through 15-year-old memories. But something else came through. Every note carried the weight of loss and love. It carried midnight vigils beside a sleeping child. It carried the ache of working until his body screamed just to afford another day, another lesson, another chance. It carried a father's desperate prayer made into sound. When the last note faded, Marcus opened his eyes. The waiting room had gone silent. Nurses had stopped mid-step. Visitors stood frozen. And Victoria Chen was crying. Not delicate tears, but the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and long buried. She walked over and sat beside Marcus on the piano bench. 23 years ago, she said quietly, I was supposed to marry a pianist. He played that piece for me the night he proposed. 2 weeks before our wedding, he died in a car accident. I threw myself into business school, built an empire, told myself I'd never let anything touch me like that again. I succeeded. Until 30 seconds ago. She looked at Marcus with something like wonder. You didn't play it perfectly. You played it like someone who understands what it means to love something so much you'd break yourself into pieces for it. Victoria stood up, straightened her suit, and became the CEO again. Your daughter's medical expenses are covered. All of them. But I'm not going to marry you, Marcus. His heart sank until she continued. Because you don't need a stranger's charity disguised as a bargain. You need what you've earned through being an extraordinary father. I'm setting up a medical fund for families like yours. And I'm hiring you as a consultant to help me identify who needs it. People like you know things people like me have forgotten. Emma's surgery was successful. 3 months later, Marcus sat beside her hospital bed as she practiced finger exercises, itching to get back to her piano. Victoria visited sometimes, less as a benefactor and more as someone who'd found her way back to something she'd lost. She'd started playing again, she told them. It hurt, but it was a good hurt. On the day Emma was discharged, she hugged Marcus tight. Dad, why are you crying? I'm okay now. Marcus smiled through his tears. I'm just remembering something your mom taught me. That sometimes the hardest things we do are the things that bring us back to life. Here's what Marcus's story teaches us. Kindness isn't always about having wealth or power. Sometimes it's about having the courage to be vulnerable, to try even when we think we've forgotten how. Victoria had everything except the thing she needed most, the permission to feel again. Marcus had nothing except love and desperation. Together, they created a moment that changed both their lives. Every single one of us has that power. To be brave enough to try, compassionate enough to see the humanity in strangers, and open enough to let others' courage inspire our own. The next time you think you have nothing to give, remember Marcus at that piano. Remember that your struggle, your love, your willingness to break yourself open for what matters, that's everything. That's the kindness this world is desperate for. Go out and share it. Someone out there needs exactly what only you can give.